And the issues are there. The Republicans that I've talked to are the ones that are talking about issues with the school,
Mm.
and about what they see in terms of the school. The Blue Valley School District is suing the state right now
Yep.
for the funding formula in special education. And I think that's one of the big key issues. If folks want to send their kids to private schools, good on them. We should not voucher that, because what it basically does is it puts back on the taxpayer, the property taxpayer, the requirements for special education that are not required of any private school. If we change the voucher program and said, hey, you have to take all special education students as well as all other students, I might change my opinion. I doubt it, but I might. Lots of times I had, when I was a city administrator, I'd have people that say, I don't use any of the recreation programs. Why should I pay the recreational property tax? We share that burden so that we have a great place to live that then allows you to also enjoy the benefit of having an employer who comes in here and says, hey, look at these great recreational programs for my employees' kids. So when we can spread that the government program that is producing great things for the community among the greatest number of taxpayers, it reduces that burden. When we take that burden away, or when we take that money away, then it intensifies the burden. So
Yeah.
not having to have special education in private schools, yeah, sure, they can offer a program that is more concentrated towards your kids. Unfortunately, though, that means that the special education program, the education that our Kansas Constitution says every Kansas citizen is entitled to, that burden is put more directly on the property taxpayers.
Yeah, because the federal government also has requirements for special education that the schools have to meet. And I did a whole Substack on the school funding. And yeah, it's about 62 or 63% when it should be 92% is being funded. And so people just don't seem to understand they have to provide those services by law, by our law, by the federal law. And so when they don't have the money to provide those services, they then have to take money from the money they do have for regular education. And then they still have to pay for those students. And so they have to raise more money the only way they know how, that not know how, but the only way they can raise money for schools. And so the property tax issue for me really comes down to, if schools were properly funded, the property taxes could go down. And it's just common sense to me. I don't understand how the populace, I understand why legislators and the bigger scheme is trying to dismantle public education. I get the entire thing for that. But as far as like how a citizen cannot value public education or an educated populace, and how they don't see they also benefit from our children being properly educated, that if they're better educated, who do they think their future doctors and lawyers and all these people that are going to take care of them in 20 years are coming from? And for me, I think that educating people is part of what I do here with Kansas Helen. I love educating myself just for fun. And education is so important to our society as a whole that even if I hadn't had children or grandchildren, I see the benefit in paying for other people's children to be educated.
And you hear it in people in my district, you hear oh, our property tax level is so high. I understand that when I go to sell this house, as long as this school district is what it is, I am not going to have any problem making that up on the back end. And I realize that even though our values have gone up and we've seen some pretty significant increases, because people have moved into our district and the demand is higher and the supply is less. And so therefore the prices have gone up. I get it all. But as long as the Blue Valley School District is what it is, then that is great. If the Blue Valley School District drops off, if they cannot fund what they need to fund, if they start to get a reputation of, oh, you don't want to live in Blue Valley because, then I think that you can make a better argument that you're paying too much property taxes. Right now, you can't make that argument. Our schools are amazing.
Yeah, yeah, good. Yeah, we live in Topeka, and my grandson is in a special ed pre-K. He's nonverbal autistic, and I don't know what they're doing in the school district but it's excellent. And lived in Wichita and we moved here, and the process to get in and everything, and the class size is much smaller, and it's been such a better experience here in Topeka. as far as the special education goes. So I don't know what magic strings they're pulling to keep everything together here, but they're doing an excellent job.
I think we have a pretty good system too. My daughter teaches in a rural district, and we had that conversation about paras and whether or not they were valuable or not based on that hearing that happened the other day in Topeka. And she said, "Look, I can't even teach my class if I don't have that para. The para turns a corner for me, and the para also provides specialized education for the students that have additional struggles. And so it's not it's whether that kid does better on the standardized testing or not is not the issue. Whether or not you can conduct the class because you now have that para available that can provide additional services is the real issue.
Yeah, there is no way that my grandson's teacher could teach the class without additional help. It's just, yeah, it's just absolutely no way. Just my one grandchild needs constant attention. And he's in the middle of the spectrum as far as the kids that are in there. There's some that are lower and some that have less needs and some that have more needs. And yeah, it's a really great program. They do peer, they have a regular class next to them and they mix them together with the neurotypical kids and stuff like that. And it has made such a difference in his life. And he gets his speech therapy and stuff at school. And it has been night and day between when he went to preschool and when he came now, as far as maybe he's not talking. He's making a lot of different sounds that he didn't make before. He had like 2 sounds before, and now he has an array of sounds he makes. But for me, it's not just that, but he is better at connecting with his little brother and other children, whereas before they didn't exist. It's a social aspect of it. And then he's just more connected when you're looking at him and stuff. And I'm forever grateful to the Topeka public school system for what they're doing for my grandson. And if they didn't have this early pre-K, special ed pre-K for him, then he'd be in his other therapies and stuff, but he would not be where he's at now if he hadn't had the last year of public school education. It's going to be life altering for him to be able to have gotten this program. And yeah, it's just so important. And that because he's nonverbal autistic doesn't mean he will always be that way. And it doesn't mean that he needs to the things that I've seen in the comments online, like they think that he needs to like he's a waste of our resources to educate him.
Just can't imagine somebody thinking that. It just doesn't.
Yeah, like I've seen, like people have commented that, like they think that we need to basically, because our resources are limited, that we need to focus on the kids that are going to best succeed because their whole push is they're not just trying to educate, they're trying to push them into working. So because he may never be gainfully employed, he's not worth investing education in.
What was it? Those among the least of us?
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah. So it's just, special education and public schools is like so important to me and to a lot of people in Kansas. And I think that on both sides of the aisle, there are kids with special education needs that are not being met right now. And I think, like I said, I think it's one of the things that's starting a crack, and why I have hope that someone like you can flip that seat and get some Republicans, because they do see, like, maybe they won't vote Republican or Democrat down the line, but because they may vote for just one thing. But it's one of the factors that I think a lot of people are waking up about, that they see that the people that are in power and control and that have been in power and control are just not doing the right thing by our public schools.
Yeah.